cruel millionaire forced a waitress to sing a French song at a luxury party to humiliate her. However, when she started singing, everyone was left speechless. The alarm blared at 4:30 a.m., and Chloe Anderson's hand shot out from beneath the thin blanket to silence it before it could wake her mother. She blinked away the heaviness of too little sleep and swung her legs over the side of the bed, her toes curling against the cold floor of their Bronx apartment. Another day, she whispered to herself, a ritual that had become both prayer and promise. Morning light was still hours away as Chloe showered quickly, the lukewarm water a luxury she allowed herself for exactly 3 minutes. In the kitchen, she prepared her mother's medications for the day. Arranging the colorful pills in the plastic organizer, she paused at Carol's bedroom door, listening to the labored breathing that had become the soundtrack to their lives, since her mother's heart had begun failing 2 years ago. Before leaving, Chloe placed a gentle kiss on Carol's forehead. Her mother stirred but didn't wake. "I'll be back at noon to check on you," Chloe whispered, though she knew Carol couldn't hear her. "Mrs. Ramirez will come at 9. Outside, the city was coming to life as Chloe made her way to the subway. The train took her to her first job of the day, the morning shift at Rosie's Diner for 6 hours. She served eggs and coffee to construction workers and early rising office people, pocketing tips that rarely exceeded $1 per table. "You look dead on your feet, sweetheart," Rosie commented as Chloe hung up her apron at 11:30. "I'm fine," Chloe replied with a practiced smile. "Just didn't sleep great. Your mama doing okay?" "Same as always. The new medication helps with the pain, but..." She let the sentence drift away, unwilling to voice the reality they both understood. After checking on Carol and having a quick lunch, Chloe headed to her afternoon job at the library, where she shelved books for 4 hours. The quiet of the stacks was a welcome reprieve, giving her mind space to wander to the evening ahead, the one bright spot in her grueling schedule. At 6 p.m., Chloe entered a small, shabby building in a slightly better part of the Bronx. Inside, an elderly man with wild white hair sat at an upright piano, his fingers dancing over yellowed keys. "You're late," Paolo Moretti said without looking up, his Italian accent still thick despite decades in New York. "Sorry, maestro, the subway, the rain, the boss, the mother, always excuses," he interrupted. But there was no real anger in his voice. "Warm up, a minor scales." Chloe set down her bag and closed her eyes, allowing her voice to rise from deep within her. The scales flowed easily, her voice pure and precise. Paolo stopped playing abruptly. No, you sing like a robot today. Where is the feeling? Where is the soul?" "I'm sorry, I'm just tired." "You think Callis apologized for being tired? You think Sutherland made excuses?" He sighed dramatically. "Again, but this time remember, you are not singing notes. You are telling stories with your voice." For the next hour, Paolo pushed her mercilessly, demanding perfection in every phrase. But unlike her other jobs, here Chloe didn't mind the demands. Here, she came alive. "How much longer until we can't afford these lessons?" Chloe asked as they finished, the question that weighed on her each week. Paolo waved his hand dismissively. "I told you. I teach you because you have gift. The money is..." He searched for the word. Symbolic. What Paolo didn't say, what Chloe didn't know, was that he'd been reducing his fee steadily over the past year as Carol's medical bills mounted. He recognized in Chloe something he hadn't seen in decades. Not since Paris, not since Ocean. Across town, in a glass-walled office 68 floors above Manhattan, James Rockwell ended his call with a decisive tap on his smartphone screen. "Eleanor!" he barked. His assistant appeared instantly, tablet in hand. "Yes, Mr. Rockwell. Is everything set for tomorrow night's gala?" "Yes, sir. The Grand Astoria has confirmed all arrangements. 243 guests have RSVP'd, including Senator Mitchell and the Japanese investors." James nodded, turning to gaze out over the city he'd helped reshape with his developments. At 52, he'd built Rockwell Properties into one of the most formidable real estate empires in the country. His silver-streaked dark hair and tailored suits had graced the covers of business magazines, always with headlines celebrating his ruthlessness and vision. "The catering staff?" he asked without turning around. "All vetted, as you requested, top-tier service guaranteed?" "Good. This deal needs to close tomorrow night. I want nothing. Absolutely nothing to go wrong. Eleanor hesitated. There is one small issue. The soprano we booked for the entertainment has laryngitis. Her agent called an hour ago. James turned, his expression darkening. Find a replacement. I don't care how. The Japanese expect culture with their champagne. After Eleanor left, James opened his desk drawer and removed a small silver flask. He took a long swallow of the expensive scotch, trying to quell the strange unease that had been plaguing him for weeks. Lately, he'd been dreaming of Paris, dreams of a small cafe near Montmartre, of laughter that sounded like music, of promises made and broken, dreams that left him waking in cold sweat, reaching for someone who hadn't been there for 26 years. James shook his head, banishing the memories. Whatever ghosts were trying to surface from his past could stay buried. He had an empire to run, deals to close, people to charm and intimidate. Yet as he stared out at the skyline, for a split second, he thought he heard a melody, a French song about seeing life through rose-colored glasses, floating on the wind. In a quiet hospital room in Paris, an elderly woman opened her eyes. The nurse recording her vitals smiled gently. Bonjour, Madame Giraud. Comment allez-vous aujourd'hui? The woman didn't respond. She hadn't spoken in years, not since returning from her last trip to America. On the small table beside her bed sat a framed photograph, faded with age, of a young woman with flowing dark hair standing before the Paris Opera House, her hand resting protectively over her swollen belly. The nurse followed her gaze to the photograph. Your daughter, she asked kindly, though she didn't expect an answer. In the 2 years she'd been caring for Océane Giraud, the woman had never acknowledged any questions about the photograph. But today, something was different. The woman's eyes seemed clearer, more present. Her lips parted slightly. Ma fille, she whispered, her voice rusty from disuse. My daughter. Sings? The nurse blinked in surprise, but when she looked again, Océane's eyes had drifted closed, her moment of clarity gone as quickly as it had come. Across the ocean, in her tiny Bronx apartment, Chloe Anderson hummed softly as she prepared for bed, unaware that worlds were aligning to bring a past she'd never known crashing into her present. The Grand Astoria Hotel gleamed like a diamond in Manhattan's skyline, its marble facade illuminated by strategically placed spotlights. Limousines lined the circular driveway as New York's elite stepped onto the red carpet, flashing perfect smiles for the photographers. Chloe entered through the service entrance, her black uniform crisp despite being 5 years old. She'd spent her last tips on dry cleaning to ensure it looked presentable. Anderson, you're station 3 tonight, East Ballroom, the catering manager barked, handing her a tray of champagne flutes. And for God's sake, smile. These people are paying $5,000 a plate. Chloe nodded, arranging her features into what she hoped was a pleasant, forgettable expression. The key to good service, she'd learned, was to be invisible until needed. Inside the ballroom, crystal chandeliers cast a warm glow over tables adorned with orchid centerpieces. A string quartet played softly in the corner as guests mingled, their jewelry catching the light with every gesture. Just like in the movies, whispered Tina, another server, as they positioned themselves near the entrance. Bet that necklace on the blonde lady could pay off my student loans. And your mortgage, Chloe added, then straightened as the first wave of guests approached. For an hour, Chloe glided between tables, offering champagne and collecting empty glasses. She'd become skilled at tuning out conversations about vacation homes and stock portfolios, focusing instead on the music. Tonight, the quartet was playing Debussy, and she silently corrected their tempo as she served. You're humming, a guest remarked, startling her. I'm so sorry, sir, Chloe stammered, mortified. The man, elderly with kind eyes, smiled. Don't be. It's rather charming. You have a good ear. Before she could respond, a commotion at the main doors drew everyone's attention. James Rockwell had arrived with his entourage of executives and a group of Japanese businessmen. That's him, Tina whispered. The king himself. Word is he's closing $1 billion deal tonight. Chloe observed the man from across the room, tall, commanding, with an air of absolute authority. Even among the wealthy, he stood apart, a predator among predators. Servers. Attention. The catering manager appeared at Chloe's elbow. Mr. Rockwell's table gets priority service, Anderson. You're up. Chloe's heart sank. The VIP table was always the most demanding, the most critical, the most likely to complain. But she nodded and made her way across the ballroom, tray perfectly balanced as she approached. James Rockwell was in mid-conversation, his voice carrying effortlessly over the ambient noise. "The Tokyo expansion is just the beginning," he was saying. "Once we establish the foothold there, we'll leverage it across Southeast Asia." Chloe moved smoothly around the table, offering champagne. When she reached James, he barely glanced at her. Taking a glass without pausing his conversation, she was just completing her circuit when she felt someone's foot extend into her path. The fall seemed to happen in slow motion. Chloe felt her ankle twist, the tray tip, and suddenly champagne was cascading over James Rockwell's custom Italian suit. The room fell silent. "What the hell?" James stood abruptly, droplets of champagne falling from his sleeve. "I'm so sorry, sir," Chloe said, scrambling to her feet. I tripped." James looked at her with cold fury. Then something shifted in his expression. His lips curved into a cruel smile. "Did you hear that accent?" "Gentlemen," he said, addressing the table. "Sounds almost French, doesn't it?" Chloe blinked in confusion. She had no accent. "You know what would make up for this little mishap," James continued, his voice projecting so the neighboring tables could hear. "Some entertainment, this clumsy waitress looks French. Perhaps she can sing for us." Titters of laughter rippled through the audience. The catering manager appeared, white-faced. "Mr. Rockwell, I apologize profusely. We'll deduct this from the bill and—" "No need," James interrupted. "I'm offering your employee a chance to redeem herself." He turned back to Chloe. "How about it, sweetheart? La vie en rose would be appropriate." "Don't you think?" Chloe felt heat rising to her face. The humiliation was overwhelming. But beneath it, something else stirred. Anger. This man had deliberately tripped her. She'd seen his Italian leather shoe extend just as she passed. "I'm afraid I don't know that song, sir," she lied, her voice steadier than she felt. "Pity," James smirked. "I was hoping for some culture with my champagne shower." In that moment, something in Chloe snapped. 6 years of swallowing her pride, of taking orders, of deferring to people who saw her as furniture. It all boiled to the surface. "Actually," she said clearly, "I do know it." A surprised murmur went through the crowd. The string quartet, sensing drama, fell silent. "Well then," James said, leaning back in his chair. "The floor is yours." Chloe handed her tray to a stunned Tina. She stepped into the center of the ballroom, her heart hammering. She'd never sung publicly before, only in Paolo's studio and in the shower. She closed her eyes, remembering Paolo's words. "You are not singing notes. You are telling stories with your voice." The first note emerged from her throat, pure and clear, like a bell ringing in a cathedral. "Quand il me prend dans ses bras, il me parle tout bas." The room disappeared, the mocking faces, the spilled champagne, the VIP table, all of it faded away. There was only the music, flowing through her like a river finding its natural course. What Chloe couldn't see was the effect her voice was having. Conversations halted mid-sentence. Forks paused halfway to mouths. Even the servers stood transfixed. Trays forgotten in their hands. "C'est lui pour moi, moi pour lui dans la vie." Across the room, a woman in her 50s with an elegant French twist gasped, her champagne flute slipping from her fingers and shattering on the marble floor. No one noticed. All eyes were on Chloe. "Il me l'a dit, l'a juré pour la vie." James Rockwell's smug expression had vanished. He sat rigid, his face drained of color, as if seeing a ghost. When Chloe reached the final note, holding it with perfect control before letting it fade like a dying star, the silence that followed was absolute. For 3 heartbeats, no one moved. Then the room erupted. Applause thundered from every corner. People rising to their feet, some were wiping tears from their eyes, others shaking their heads in disbelief. Chloe opened her eyes, stunned by the reaction. Her gaze met James's, and what she saw there confused her. Not anger or embarrassment, but something that looked almost like terror. Before she could process this, the French woman was pushing through the crowd toward her, moving with single-minded determination. "Excuse me," the woman said, her voice trembling. "Your name. What is your name?" "Chloe. Chloe Anderson," she replied, bewildered by the intensity of the woman's gaze. "My God," the woman whispered, gripping Chloe's arm. "It's impossible. You sound exactly like her. Exactly like Océane Giraud." The name meant nothing to Chloe, but across the room, James Rockwell heard it clearly. The blood drained from his face as he reached for his water glass with a visibly shaking hand. "Who?" Chloe asked. But already the catering manager was pulling her away, alternating between praising her and scolding her for causing a scene. As Chloe was led back toward the kitchen, she glanced over her shoulder. The French woman was watching her go, an expression of wonder on her face. And beyond her, James Rockwell was staring at Chloe as though he'd seen the past rise up to claim him. The service elevator doors had barely closed behind Chloe when the catering manager gripped her shoulders. "Anderson, what the hell just happened out there?" "I'm sorry, Mr. Klein. He tripped me on purpose and then, not the champagne." Klein's expression wavered between frustration and awe. "That voice, where did that come from?" Chloe shrugged, uncomfortable with the attention. "I've taken some lessons." "Some lessons," Klein repeated incredulously. "Look, I should fire you for causing a scene, but..." He ran a hand through his thinning hair. "Take the rest of the night off with pay," before Chloe could respond. The elevator arrived at the kitchen level. As the doors opened, a hotel staff member was waiting. "Mrs. Anderson, Rebecca Whitman is asking to speak with you in the mezzanine lounge." "Who?" "The French woman from upstairs. She's quite insistent." Chloe looked at Klein, who nodded. "Go, but whatever fancy offer she makes you, remember who gave you your first break?" He winked, already calculating how to leverage his connection to the night's unexpected star. The mezzanine lounge was empty except for Rebecca Whitman, who stood by the window overlooking Central Park. She turned when Chloe entered, studying her with intense blue eyes. "Please sit." Rebecca gestured to a plush chair. "Would you like something to drink? Water? Wine?" "Water, please." Chloe's throat was dry from singing and anxiety, Rebecca ordered before sitting across from Chloe. "I apologize for my dramatic reaction upstairs. Your performance was unsettling." "Unsettling. In the best way," Rebecca smiled, though it didn't quite reach her eyes. "Tell me, have you ever heard of Océane Giraud?" Chloe shook her head. "I'm not surprised. Her fame was brief and concentrated mostly in Europe." Rebecca paused as a server delivered water. Océane was a rising star at the Paris Opera 26 years ago. Critics called her the voice of the century. And then, at the height of her success, she disappeared. Disappeared, vanished, canceled her performances, withdrew from public life. There were rumors, health problems, a nervous breakdown, a love affair gone wrong. Rebecca studied Chloe's face. "When I heard you sing tonight, I could have sworn it was Océane. Not similar. Identical. The same timbre, the same phrasing, even the same breath control." Chloe shifted uncomfortably. "I'm sure it's just a coincidence. There are no coincidences that precise in singing. It's like a vocal fingerprint." Rebecca leaned forward. "How old are you, Chloe?" 25. Rebecca nodded as if confirming a suspicion. "And your parents, are they musical?" "My mother sings in church," Chloe said defensively. "Look, Ms. Whitman." "Rebecca, please." "Rebecca, I'm not sure what you're implying, but..." "I'm not implying anything," Rebecca interrupted gently. "I'm simply curious about a young woman with extraordinary talent serving champagne instead of performing on stages around the world." Chloe's defenses softened slightly. "My mother is sick, heart failure. I need steady income and flexible hours to care for her." Rebecca's expression warmed with genuine sympathy. "I understand. Family comes first." She reached into her purse and extracted a business card. "I'm the CEO of Whitman Media Group. We own several classical music labels. Among other things, when you're ready to explore your gift professionally, call me." Chloe accepted the card, running her thumb over the embossed letters. "Thank you, but I'm not sure." "One more question," Rebecca said, her tone shifting. "Were you adopted by any chance?" The question hit Chloe like a physical blow. "What? No, why would you ask that?" Rebecca hesitated, then shook her head. "Just a thought. Forgive me for prying." She stood, smoothing her designer dress. "Remember, my offer stands whenever you're ready." Chloe left the hotel in a daze, her mind spinning with Rebecca's questions and implications. The night air felt good against her flushed skin as she walked to the subway, the business card burning a hole in her pocket. So Carol was awake when Chloe arrived home, sitting up in bed with her knitting. "You're home early," she remarked, setting aside a half-finished scarf. "Everything okay at the gala?" Chloe sat on the edge of the bed, suddenly uncertain how to begin. "Mom, something weird happened tonight." She recounted the evening's events. The spilled champagne, the forced performance, the thunderous applause, and finally, Rebecca's strange questions about Océane Giraud. Carol's face remained impassive, but Chloe noticed her hands gripping the blanket tightly. "She asked if I was adopted," Chloe finished, watching her mother carefully. "As if I might be related to this singer." Carol's laugh sounded forced. "That's ridiculous. You know how these rich types are, always looking for the next sensation. She probably wants to exploit your talent." "Probably," Chloe agreed, but a seed of doubt had been planted. "It was just such a specific question." "Well, it's nonsense," Carol said firmly. "You were born at St. Mary's Hospital right here in the Bronx. I was in labor for 18 hours with you. I know, I've heard the story a million times." Chloe smiled, but something felt off. Still, it was strange how she reacted to my voice. Carol's expression softened. "Your voice is special, Chloe. It always has been. Even as a baby, your cries were musical." She reached for Chloe's hand. "Promise me something. Anything. Be careful with these music people. They'll promise you the world, but there's always a catch." Chloe squeezed her mother's hand. "I promise. I'm not going anywhere while you need me." After kissing her mother goodnight, Chloe retreated to her tiny bedroom. Instead of preparing for bed, she opened her laptop and searched for Océane Giraud. The results were sparse. A few archived reviews praising her transcendent soprano, a blurry photo from a 1998 performance of La Bohème, and a short Wikipedia entry noting her brief, brilliant career and subsequent disappearance from the music world in 1999. No videos, no recordings. It was as if Océane had been deliberately erased. Chloe was about to close her laptop when she heard a thud from her mother's room, followed by a gasping sound that made her blood run cold. "Mom!" she called, rushing down the hallway. Carol was on the floor beside her bed, clutching her chest, her face contorted in pain. "Mom!" Chloe dropped to her knees. "What's happening? Talk to me." "Can't breathe," Carol managed, her lips taking on a bluish tint. Chloe grabbed her phone and dialed 911. Her voice surprisingly calm as she gave their address and described her mother's symptoms. The operator's instructions blurred as she focused on Carol's face, watching with rising panic as her mother's eyes rolled back. "Stay with me, Mom," she pleaded, holding Carol's hand. "Help is coming, just stay with me." Carol's eyes refocused. Finding Chloe's face, she seemed desperate to speak. "Don't try to talk," Chloe urged. "Save your strength." But Carol's grip tightened with surprising strength. "Chloe," she gasped. "I need to tell you." "Tell me what, Mom?" Carol's eyes filled with tears. "The convent, St. Agnes." "What? What about a convent?" "You weren't born at St. Mary's," Carol whispered. "I found you at St. Agnes Convent." The confession hung in the air between them as sirens wailed in the distance. Chloe felt as if the floor had dropped from beneath her. "What are you saying?" she demanded, her voice breaking. "Mom, what are you saying?" But Carol's eyes had closed, her body going limp as the paramedics pounded up the stairs. James Rockwell paced his penthouse, a tumbler of scotch in his hand. The gala had continued after Chloe's performance. The Tokyo deal had been signed, but he remembered none of it. All he could hear was that voice, her voice, singing the same song she'd sung to him in that little cafe in Montmartre 26 years ago. "Impossible," he muttered, draining his glass. "It's impossible." But Rebecca Whitman had said the name, Océane Giraud, a name he'd spent decades trying to forget. James picked up his phone. "Eleanor, I need you to find everything you can about a server at tonight's gala. Name's Chloe Anderson, and I mean everything. Birth certificate, education, family, the works. I want it on my desk by morning." He hung up without waiting for a response and poured another drink, his hand trembling slightly. "Just a coincidence," he told himself. "Has to be." But even as he said it, a terrible certainty was growing in his gut. The timing, the voice, the age. James Rockwell, who had faced down corporate raiders and market crashes without flinching, felt fear twist in his chest for the first time in decades. The fluorescent lights of the hospital waiting room buzzed overhead, casting a sickly glow on Chloe's face as she hunched forward in the uncomfortable plastic chair. 3 hours had passed since they'd wheeled Carol through the emergency room doors. 3 hours of silence, fear, and the echo of her mother's confession playing on repeat in her mind. "You weren't born at St. Mary's. I found you. At St. Agnes Convent." A nurse appeared at the doorway. "Mrs. Anderson." Chloe jumped to her feet. "How is she?" The nurse's expression was professionally neutral. "Your mother is stable for now. The doctor would like to speak with you." Chloe followed her down a sterile hallway to a small consultation room, where a tired-looking man in a white coat waited. "Mrs. Anderson, I'm Dr. Rivera." He gestured for her to sit. "Your mother experienced a severe cardiac event. We've managed to stabilize her, but I need to be frank with you. Her heart is failing rapidly." Chloe felt the room tilt slightly. "But the medication she's been taking has likely extended her life already. But it's not enough anymore." Dr. Rivera's voice softened. "What she needs is a transplant." "Then let's get her on the list," Chloe said immediately. "She is on the list, but," he hesitated, "given her age and the advanced state of her condition, I need to be realistic about her chances." "What are you saying?" "I'm saying there's a procedure, a new type of artificial heart valve implementation, that might help. It's experimental, but promising for cases like your mother's." Hope flickered in Chloe's chest. "Let's do it. The issue is insurance. This procedure isn't covered, and the out-of-pocket costs are..." Dr. Rivera named a figure that made Chloe's stomach drop. "That's more than I make in 2 years," she whispered. "I understand this is overwhelming," Dr. Rivera said gently. "Take some time to think about your options. In the meantime, we'll keep her comfortable." Chloe nodded numbly, her mind already racing through impossible calculations. Selling everything they owned, taking out loans, working even more jobs. "Can I see her?" Dr. Rivera led her to Carol's room. Her mother looked small and fragile in the hospital bed, tubes and wires connecting her to softly beeping machines. Chloe sat beside her, taking Carol's limp hand in hers. "I'm here, Mom," she whispered. "We're going to figure this out." Carol's eyes fluttered open. "Chloe," she murmured, her voice barely audible. "I'm sorry. Don't try to talk," Chloe soothed. "Just rest." "No," Carol insisted, her grip tightening. "I need to tell you about St. Agnes." "Mom, please." "I was desperate," Carol continued, each word an effort. "Couldn't have children. Wanted one so badly. The nurse said, you were abandoned. No one wanted you." Tears slid down Chloe's cheeks. "It doesn't matter. You're my mother." "There was a letter?" Carol's eyes drifted closed. "Never showed you, was afraid, would lose you." "You'll never lose me," Chloe promised. But Carol had slipped back into unconsciousness. Chloe sat there until visiting hours ended, her mind a storm of questions. She was adopted, abandoned. The puzzle pieces of Rebecca's questions and Carol's confession were fitting together, forming a picture she wasn't sure she wanted to see. 3 days passed in a blur of hospital visits and desperate phone calls to insurance companies, charities, and loan offices. Chloe had been forced to take unpaid leave from her jobs to stay with Carol, whose condition remained unchanged, stable, but precarious. On the 4th morning, Chloe arrived at the hospital to find Dr. Rivera waiting for her, with an expression she couldn't read. "Ms. Anderson, something rather extraordinary has happened," he began. "An anonymous donor has offered to cover all expenses for your mother's procedure and recovery." Chloe stared at him. "What? Who?" "I don't know. The donation came through the hospital's foundation with explicit instructions for anonymity." "This doesn't make sense," Chloe said. "We don't know anyone with that kind of money." Dr. Rivera shrugged. "Sometimes people are moved by others' situations. The important thing is that we can schedule your mother's procedure immediately." As Chloe signed the consent forms, her mind raced. Who would do this? The only wealthy person she'd met recently was Rebecca Whitman. But why would a music executive pay for a stranger's heart surgery, unless she wasn't a stranger? Unless Rebecca knew something about Chloe's origins that connected them somehow. Later that afternoon, as Chloe sat beside her sleeping mother, her phone buzzed with an unfamiliar number. Hello? Is this Chloe Anderson? A crisp female voice asked. Yes, who's calling? My name is Eleanor Peters, Mr. Rockwell's executive assistant. He asked me to extend an invitation to audition for the entertainment program at the Rockwell Foundation's annual fundraiser. Chloe nearly dropped her phone. James Rockwell, the man whose suit I ruined. The very same. Eleanor's tone warmed slightly. Your performance made quite an impression, mister. Rockwell believes you have exceptional talent that deserves a proper showcase. I don't understand. He seemed furious with me. Mr. Rockwell appreciates excellence, even when it comes in unexpected packages. Eleanor paused. The fee is substantial. $10,000 for a 15-minute set. Chloe's breath caught. That kind of money would cover their rent for months, giving her flexibility to be with Carol during recovery. When is the audition? Tomorrow at 2 p.m. at Rockwell Tower. I'll text you the details. Eleanor's voice became businesslike again. Do you have any formal performance credentials we should know about? No, just private lessons. That's fine. Mr. Rockwell prefers raw talent anyway. There was an odd note in Eleanor's voice that Chloe couldn't quite place. One more thing. Mr. Rockwell suggested you prepare La Vie en Rose again. He was particularly moved by your interpretation. After hanging up, Chloe sat in stunned silence. First, the anonymous donation for Carol's surgery. Now this lucrative audition offer from the very man who had humiliated her. Something didn't add up. It's a trap, Paolo declared when Chloe told him about the audition during their lesson that evening. This man, he wants to humiliate you again. Maybe, Chloe conceded. But I need the money, Paolo, and if there's even a chance it's legitimate. Paolo muttered something in Italian, pacing his small studio. Then we prepare properly. No more half measures. He sat at the piano. Again, from the beginning, this time with everything in your heart. After an intense 2-hour session, Paolo handed Chloe a glass of water. You are ready, your voice. He hesitated, looking troubled. King, what about my voice? It reminds me of someone I knew long ago in Paris. He busied himself with organizing sheet music. Chloe's heart skipped. Was her name Océane Giraud by any chance? Paolo dropped the music sheets. They scattered across the floor like fallen leaves. How do you know that name? He demanded, his face pale. A woman at the gala said I sound exactly like her. Chloe knelt to help gather the music. Paolo, what aren't you telling me? The old man sank onto his piano bench, suddenly looking every one of his 70-plus years. Océane was a colleague at the Paris Opera. Magnificent soprano. We all expected her to become the next Maria Callas. He rubbed his face. Then she vanished. There were rumors about a love affair, a pregnancy. I never knew the truth. When was this? 26 years ago. Summer of 1999. Paolo studied Chloe's face. You look like her, around the eyes. I noticed it the first day you came. But I thought, coincidence. Chloe felt lightheaded. I found out recently that I was adopted, left at a convent called St. Agnes. Paolo crossed himself. Madonna mia. You think she could be my mother, don't you? Chloe whispered. I think, Paolo said carefully, that there are no coincidences in music. The voice, it passes through blood. Before Chloe could respond, her phone buzzed with a text message. It was from an unknown number. Mrs. Anderson, this is Rebecca Whitman. I've just heard about your mother's condition. Please call me if you need anything at all. Chloe stared at the message. How had Rebecca known about Carol? She hadn't told anyone except her employers and Paolo. What is it? Paolo asked, noting her expression. I don't know, Chloe replied, but I think someone is watching me. Rockwell Tower pierced the Manhattan skyline like a glass dagger, its reflective surface gleaming in the afternoon sun. Chloe stood at its base, craning her neck upward until the building disappeared into a vanishing point. People in business attire streamed past her, their faces set in expressions of purpose and ambition. Just breathe, she whispered to herself, smoothing down the front of her only good dress, a navy blue number she'd bought secondhand for job interviews. The security guard at the front desk checked her ID against a list, then directed her to the executive elevator. 68th floor, he said, swiping a key card. Ms. Peters is expecting you. The elevator rose with silent efficiency, Chloe's stomach dropping with each passing floor when the doors opened. Eleanor Peters was waiting, a tall woman with a sleek bob and sharply tailored suit. "Ms. Anderson, right on time." Her handshake was firm but brief. "Follow me." They walked through an open office space where assistants answered phones and tapped at keyboards. Chloe felt eyes following her. Curious glances quickly averted when she looked their way. Eleanor stopped at a set of double doors. "Mr. Rockwell is in a meeting, but our music director is waiting in the audition room." She gestured down another hallway. "This way." The audition room turned out to be a small concert hall with perfect acoustics, complete with a grand piano on a raised stage. A balding man in his 60s sat in the front row, reviewing sheet music. "Marcus, this is Chloe Anderson," Eleanor announced. "Chloe, Marcus Blackwood, our music director." Marcus looked up, his eyes widening slightly as he took in Chloe. "Ah, the mysterious soprano I've been hearing about." He stood, approaching the stage. "Eleanor, would you excuse us? Artists need space." After Eleanor left, Marcus gestured for Chloe to join him on stage. "So, you're the waitress who brought James Rockwell to his knees with La Vie en Rose." Chloe felt herself blush. "I wouldn't put it that way." "I would. I've known James for 15 years, and I've never seen him react to anything the way Eleanor described." Marcus sat at the piano. "Let's see if you're as good as she claims." For the next 30 minutes, Marcus put Chloe through a series of vocal exercises and pieces, his expression growing increasingly impressed. "You've had training," he said finally. "Good training. Just lessons with a retired opera singer in the Bronx." "Who?" "Paolo Moretti." Marcus's fingers stilled on the keys. "Paolo Moretti from the Paris Opera." Chloe nodded. "Interesting," Marcus murmured. "Very interesting. Well, Miss Anderson, the position is yours if you want it. The fundraiser is in 3 weeks. We'll need you for 2 rehearsals before then. That's it. I got the job. With a voice like yours, absolutely." Marcus stood, gathering his music. "Eleanor will handle the paperwork. I look forward to working with you." As Marcus left through a side door, Eleanor reappeared with a thick contract. "Standard performance agreement," she explained, turning to the signature page. $10,000 for one appearance, plus the option for future engagements. Chloe scanned the document, her eyes widening at the additional clauses. Compensation for rehearsals, wardrobe allowance, even transportation. "This is very generous," she said suspiciously. "Mr. Rockwell values talent," Eleanor replied smoothly. "Speaking of which, he'd like to meet with you briefly before you leave." Chloe signed the contract, her hand trembling slightly, as Eleanor led her back to the executive floor. A troubling thought surfaced. What if James Rockwell was her anonymous donor? But why would he help her mother after deliberately humiliating her at the gala? Eleanor knocked on the double doors, then opened them without waiting for a response. "Ms. Anderson, for you, Mr. Rockwell." The office was massive, with floor-to-ceiling windows offering a panoramic view of the city. James Rockwell stood with his back to the door, gazing out at the skyline. "Thank you, Eleanor. That will be all." Eleanor departed, closing the doors silently behind her. For a long moment, James didn't turn around. "Did Marcus approve your performance?" "Yes." "Good." He finally faced her, his expression unreadable. "I owe you an apology, Mrs. Anderson. My behavior at the gala was inexcusable." Chloe hadn't expected this. "Thank you for saying so." "I'm not in the habit of apologizing," James continued, moving to sit behind his enormous desk. "Consider yourself an exception. Is that why you offered me this job?" Guilt, a flicker of something, amusement, respect, crossed his face. "I offered you the job because you have extraordinary talent. Guilt had nothing to do with it." Chloe met his gaze. "And my mother's medical expenses. Was that you too?" James's expression remained neutral. "I don't know what you're talking about. Someone anonymously paid for an experimental procedure that costs more than I'll make in 2 years. Right after I sang at your gala. Perhaps you have a guardian angel." James opened a folder on his desk. "I understand your mother is recovering well." The confirmation that he knew about Carol's condition sent a chill down Chloe's spine. "Why are you investigating me?" James looked up sharply. "What makes you think I am? You knew my mother was in the hospital. You knew about her procedure. How? I make it my business to know about people who work for me." He closed the folder. "Is there a problem with that?" "It's invasive and creepy," Chloe said bluntly. To her surprise, James laughed, a genuine sound that transformed his face, making him look years younger. Most people wouldn't dare speak to me that way. I'm not most people. No, he agreed, studying her with an intensity that made her uncomfortable. You're certainly not. After Chloe left, James buzzed Eleanor. Get me the latest on the investigation. Moments later, Eleanor entered with a thick file. The birth certificate is fake, she reported. No Chloe Anderson was born at St. Mary's Hospital on that date. We're still trying to trace her to St. Agnes Convent, but their records from 25 years ago aren't digitized. James nodded. And Océane Giraud disappeared from Paris in August 1999. Last known residence was a small apartment near Montmartre. She performed at the Paris Opera until July of that year, then canceled all future engagements. The press speculated about health issues, but nothing was ever confirmed. And after that, it's as if she vanished. No credit card activity, no passport usage, nothing until 2004 when she resurfaced briefly in Lyon. After that, sporadic sightings across Europe. She was admitted to a private hospital in Paris 2 years ago and died there 6 months later. Cause of death listed as heart failure. James flinched slightly at the last detail. Heart failure, he repeated softly, like Carol Anderson. Sir, nothing. James waved her away. Keep digging. I want everything. Hospital records, travel documents, anything connected to St. Agnes Convent. When Eleanor left, James opened his desk drawer and removed a small leather box. Inside was a faded photograph of a young woman with dark hair and luminous eyes. Standing before the Paris Opera House, her smile was radiant, her hand resting protectively over her pregnant belly. On the back, written in flowing script, Pour toi, mon amour, Paris, 1999. James traced the handwriting with his finger, memories flooding back. They had met at a café in Montmartre. He was 26, brash and arrogant, freshly graduated from business school and traveling through Europe on his father's dime. She was 24, already a rising star at the opera, with a laugh that sounded like music. For 3 months, they were inseparable. He extended his stay in Paris again and again, captivated by her passion for music, her joy in simple pleasures, her unconventional beauty. Then came the pregnancy, his father's ultimatum: return to New York and join the family business or be disinherited. His own cruel words to Océane when she refused to get an abortion. What did you expect? A ring. I was just having fun. Her face when he left. The tears he pretended not to see. The letters he returned unopened. And now, 26 years later, a young woman with Océane's exact voice was standing in his office, with eyes that mirrored his own. James Rockwell, who had built an empire on calculated decisions, felt the foundation of his life crumbling beneath him. The hospital room felt different now that Carol was awake and alert. The procedure had been successful, and though recovery would be long, Dr. Rivera was cautiously optimistic. They're saying I can go home next week, Carol announced as Chloe arranged fresh flowers beside her bed. Isn't that wonderful? That's amazing, Mom. Chloe smiled, though it didn't quite reach her eyes. Carol studied her daughter's face. What's wrong? You should be happy. Chloe sat on the edge of the bed, toying with the sleeve of her sweater. I am happy. It's just, there's something I need to ask you. About what you said when they brought you in. Carol's expression shuddered. I was delirious, honey. I don't remember much. You said I wasn't born at St. Mary's, that you found me at St. Agnes Convent. Chloe kept her voice gentle, but firm. Was that true? The silence stretched between them, thick with unspoken truths. Mom, please, I need to know. Carol's eyes filled with tears. I wanted to tell you so many times, but I was afraid. Afraid you'd hate me, afraid you'd leave. I could never hate you, Chloe said, taking her mother's hand. Just tell me what happened. Carol exhaled shakily. I couldn't have children. 3 miscarriages nearly broke me. Your father, Harold, he was a good man. But after the 3rd loss, something in him changed. He started drinking, staying out late. She wiped at her eyes. Then one night I got a call from St. Agnes Convent. A nurse there, Maggie, was an old school friend. She told me a baby had been left at their door. Me, Chloe whispered. Carol nodded. Maggie knew how desperate I was for a child. She said this baby had no identification, no birth certificate, nothing but a note she offered to help me bypass the system. So you took me just like that. It wasn't just like that. I was terrified. But the moment I held you, Carol's voice broke. You were so perfect, so beautiful. I told Harold you were ours, that the pregnancy had been a surprise. He was skeptical at first, but he fell in love with you too. What about the note? Chloe asked. The one left with me. Carol looked away. I still have it, in a box under my bed. All these years, Chloe said, her voice tight with emotion. You let me believe I was your biological daughter. I am your mother, Carol insisted, gripping Chloe's hand. Maybe not by blood, but in every way that matters. Chloe nodded, swallowing past the lump in her throat. I know that. I need to understand where I came from. Why now, after all these years? Chloe hesitated, then told Carol about Rebecca Whitman and her questions about Océane Giraud, about Paolo's recognition of the name and his suspicion that Chloe might be Océane's daughter. There's more, she added. I got a job singing at a fundraiser. It pays $10,000 for one night. Carol's eyes widened. That's wonderful, but how? James Rockwell offered it to me. Chloe watched her mother's reaction carefully. After hearing me sing at his gala, Carol's face paled. Rockwell, the real estate developer. You know him, only from the newspapers. Carol's voice was strained. Chloe, be careful. Men like that always want something. I think he already knows who I am, Chloe said quietly. Or at least he suspects. He's been investigating me, Mom. He knew about your surgery, your condition, everything. Carol closed her eyes, her breathing shallow. Maybe it's time you knew everything too. Paolo's studio was unusually quiet when Chloe arrived for her lesson. The old man sat at his piano, his fingers resting on the keys but not playing. Maestro, Chloe said, setting down her bag. Are you all right? Paolo looked up, his eyes distant. You have questions about Océane. How did you know? Because I have been expecting this day for 25 years. He gestured for her to sit. What do you want to know? Everything, Chloe said simply. Who was she? What was she like? What happened to her? Paolo sighed deeply. She was extraordinary. Not just her voice, though that was exceptional, her spirit. She had this light about her. He smiled faintly. Like you. You knew her well. I was her vocal coach for 3 years. We became friends. His expression darkened. Then that American came, young, handsome, full of charm and empty promises. Chloe leaned forward. Do you know his name? Paolo shook his head. She never said, only that he was from a wealthy family, that his father controlled him with money. He touched a key softly. When she told him about the baby, he abandoned her, broke her heart. And then, she disappeared. The opera was frantic. They had built an entire season around her, but she vanished. Paolo looked at Chloe directly. There were rumors she had gone to America to find him. Others said she had a breakdown. I never knew the truth until now. You think I'm her daughter? I know you are her daughter. Paolo reached for a folder on top of his piano. I kept this all these years, I'm not sure why. Inside was a program from the Paris Opera, dated April 1999. On the cover was a photograph of a dark-haired woman with luminous eyes that Chloe saw every day in the mirror. That's her, Paolo said unnecessarily. Océane Giraud. Chloe stared at the photograph, her hands trembling. She's beautiful. Yes, and the most stubborn woman I ever met. Paolo smiled sadly. Like someone else I know. Chloe looked up from the photograph. Did you know when I first came to you for lessons? I suspected your voice. It was too similar, but I couldn't be certain. Why didn't you say anything? What would I have said? Excuse me, young lady, but you sound exactly like a woman who disappeared 20 years ago. Paolo shook his head. Besides, you needed a teacher. Not more complications in your life. Chloe was about to respond when her phone chimed with a text message from Rebecca Whitman. I've been in touch with James Rockwell. We need to talk. Meet me at the Plaza Hotel, Oak Room, 7 p.m. tonight. It's about Océane. Paolo read the message over her shoulder. You're not going alone, he said firmly. I have to, Chloe replied. But first, I need to go home. There's something I need to see. The box was exactly where Carol had said it would be, a small wooden chest beneath her bed. With trembling fingers, Chloe lifted the lid. Inside were baby clothes, a tiny knitted cap, a hospital bracelet with no name, just Baby Girl, June 15th, 1999, and an envelope, yellowed with age. Chloe opened it carefully, unfolding the single sheet of paper inside. The handwriting was elegant, though the ink had faded over time. To whoever finds her, her name is Chloe. Please give her a home filled with love. Someday she will change the world with her voice. I cannot keep her safe, but I will always love her. HT, not OG, not Océane Giraud. Chloe read the note again, confusion clouding her thoughts. If Océane was her mother, who was HT, and why would she use different initials? Unless Océane was trying to hide her identity, unless she was running from someone. Chloe checked the time. 6:15 p.m. She had to hurry if she was going to make the meeting with Rebecca. As she returned the note to the box, her fingers brushed against something else. A small, folded piece of paper tucked into the corner of the chest. It was a newspaper clipping, worn from handling. The headline read, "Rockwell heir returns from European tour to join family business." Beneath was a photograph of a much younger James Rockwell, stepping off a private jet. The date, September 1999, just 3 months after Chloe had been left at St. Agnes Convent. Suddenly, the pieces began to fall into place. The American in Paris, the wealthy family, the controlling father, James's strange reaction to her singing, his investigation into her background, the anonymous donation for Carol's surgery. "Oh my God," Chloe whispered, staring at the photograph. "He's my father." The Plaza Hotel stood like a castle from another era, its elegant facade illuminated against the darkening sky. Chloe approached slowly, the newspaper clipping burning a hole in her pocket. Doormen in crisp uniforms ushered guests in and out, barely glancing at her as she slipped through the grand entrance. The oak room was dimly lit, all dark wood paneling and hushed conversations. Rebecca Whitman sat at a corner table, a glass of red wine before her. She looked up as Chloe approached, her expression impossible to read. "Thank you for coming," Rebecca said, gesturing to the chair across from her. "Would you like something to drink?" "No." Chloe remained standing. "You said this was about Océane Giraud." Rebecca studied her for a moment. "Please sit. This isn't a conversation to have standing in the middle of the oak room." Reluctantly, Chloe sat. A waiter appeared, but she waved him away. "I know James Rockwell is my father," she said without preamble, "and I suspect Océane Giraud was my mother." If Rebecca was surprised by Chloe's directness, she didn't show it. "Yes, to both. How long have you known?" "I suspected the moment I heard you sing, but I wasn't certain until I saw your birth date on your employment paperwork from the catering company." Rebecca took a sip of her wine. "I knew Océane, you see. We were friends, not close, but friendly enough that she confided in me about her affair with James. So you've known all along who my parents were?" "No. I knew about the affair and the pregnancy, but Océane disappeared from Paris abruptly. I assumed she'd had an abortion." As James had demanded, Rebecca's voice hardened on the last words. "I never knew she'd had the baby. Until I heard you sing." Chloe tried to process this information. "Why did you contact me? Why get involved now?" "Because I owed it to Océane." Rebecca set down her glass. She was extraordinary. Not just her voice, but her spirit. James destroyed that spirit when he abandoned her. I watched her unravel afterwards, canceling performances, withdrawing from friends. What happened to her? Where did she go? To America, apparently. Looking for James, I imagine, though she never told me her plans. Rebecca reached into her purse and withdrew a small USB drive. "This is for you, Océane's final performance before she disappeared. It was never released publicly." Chloe took the drive, turning it over in her hands. "Why are you giving me this?" "Because you deserve to know who your mother was, and because I think James Rockwell should face what he did." Rebecca leaned forward. "He's a powerful man who's spent his life taking what he wants and discarding people when they're no longer useful. I'd like to see him face consequences for once." A chill ran down Chloe's spine. "Is that what I am to you? A weapon against James Rockwell?" Rebecca had the grace to look slightly embarrassed. Initially, perhaps. But after meeting you, seeing your talent, she shook her head. You're Ocean's daughter through and through, that transcends any agenda I might have had. Where is she now? Is she still alive? Rebecca's expression softened with genuine sadness. No, she died 2 years ago in a private hospital in Paris. Heart failure. The words hit Chloe like a physical blow. She's dead. I'll never get to meet her. I'm sorry, I thought you knew. Chloe shook her head, tears welling in her eyes. All this time, I never even knew she existed. And now, she couldn't finish the sentence. She never stopped looking for you, Rebecca said gently. After she recovered from the birth complications, she learned you had been given up for adoption. She spent years trying to trace you, but the records were sealed, or non-existent, if what you say about St. Agnes is true. Birth complications. She hemorrhaged severely after delivery, was in a coma for weeks. By the time she recovered, you were gone. Chloe wiped at her tears. And James, does he know who I am? He suspects, which is why he's been investigating you, but he doesn't have confirmation yet. Rebecca checked her watch. Speaking of James, he should be joining us shortly. What? Chloe stood abruptly. You invited him here? No, he invited himself when I mentioned I was meeting you. Rebecca remained calm. He's desperate to know the truth, Chloe. Almost as desperate as you are. Chloe sank back into her chair, suddenly feeling trapped. I'm not ready to face him. Not yet. You don't have to do anything you don't want to. Rebecca reached across the table, briefly touching Chloe's hand. But there's something else you should know before he arrives. Something about Ocean's last years. James Rockwell's car crawled through Manhattan traffic, his impatience growing with each passing minute. Eleanor sat beside him, reviewing notes on her tablet. Rebecca is being deliberately vague about this meeting, she reported. All she would say is that it concerns mutual interests regarding Chloe Anderson. She knows, James said flatly. She knows who Chloe is. The DNA results won't be back until tomorrow, Eleanor reminded him. We still don't have definitive proof. James didn't respond. He didn't need a DNA test to confirm what he'd known the moment he heard Chloe sing. She was his daughter, his and Ocean's. The timing, the resemblance, the voice. It all fit. What he didn't know was what Rebecca intended to do with this information. As a major shareholder in several Rockwell subsidiaries, she had significant leverage, if she chose to make this public, to reveal that he had abandoned his pregnant girlfriend and neglected his own child for 25 years. Sir? Eleanor's voice broke into his thoughts. We're here. In Carol's hospital room. The night nurse had just finished checking vitals when there was a knock at the door. A delivery man stood there with a large package. Delivery for Carol Anderson. I'll take it, the nurse said, signing for the package. After the delivery man left, she placed the box on Carol's bedside table. Looks like someone's thinking of you. Carol, who had been dozing, blinked awake. What is it? A package? No return address? Curious, Carol opened the box. Inside was a smaller wooden chest, exquisitely carved with musical notes and roses. A note was attached to the top. Mrs. Anderson, I believe these belongings should be returned to their rightful owner. Your daughter, J.R. With trembling hands, Carol lifted the lid of the chest. Inside was a collection of items, photographs, letters, sheet music, a small jewelry box containing a silver locket, and a leather-bound journal. Carol picked up one of the photographs. A beautiful dark-haired woman standing outside the Paris Opera House. Her hand resting on her pregnant belly, she turned it over and read the inscription. Pour toi, mon amour, Paris, 1999. Tears filled Carol's eyes as she realized what she was holding. Océane Giraud's personal effects, the mother Chloe had never known. She reached for her phone to call Chloe, then hesitated. These weren't just mementos. They were a history, an identity, a connection to a past that Carol had spent 25 years hiding from her daughter. With a deep breath, Carol began to read the journal, her heart breaking with each page as Océane's story unfolded. The passionate love affair, the cruel abandonment, the desperate journey to America to find the father of her child, the complications during birth, the frantic search for her baby afterward. The final entry, dated just 3 years ago, read, My heart is failing. just like my search for Chloe. The doctors give me months, perhaps a year. I will never see her sing on stage, never hear if her voice fulfilled its promise. James, if you ever read this, know that I forgive you, not for your sake, but for mine. And if by some miracle these words reach my daughter, I have loved you every moment of every day, even when we were apart. Especially then. Carol closed the journal, tears streaming down her face. She had to give these memories to Chloe, even if it meant risking her daughter's love. Rebecca was still speaking when Chloe saw him enter the oak room. James Rockwell moved with the confidence of a man accustomed to commanding attention, his tailored suit a subtle display of wealth and power. Their eyes met across the room, and for a moment, time seemed to freeze. "He's here," Chloe said, cutting Rebecca off mid-sentence. Rebecca turned, her expression cooling as James approached their table. "James, right on time." "Rebecca," his tone was cordial but tense. "Mrs. Anderson." "Mr. Rockwell." Chloe's voice sounded strange to her own ears, distant and formal, as if she were addressing a stranger instead of the man whose blood ran in her veins. "May I join you?" James asked. Though he was already signaling for the waiter to bring another chair, Chloe wanted to refuse, to run from the oak room and never look back. But she had spent her entire life not knowing her origins. She couldn't walk away now, no matter how terrifying the truth might be. "Actually," Rebecca said, gathering her purse, "I was just leaving. I think you two have matters to discuss privately." She gave Chloe's hand a reassuring squeeze before standing. "Call me if you need anything." After Rebecca left, an uncomfortable silence settled between them. James ordered scotch. Chloe requested water. They sat without speaking until the drinks arrived. "I suppose," James finally said, "we should address the elephant in the room." "Which one?" Chloe's voice was sharper than she intended. "The fact that you've been investigating me, that you paid for my mother's surgery, or that you abandoned Océane Giraud when she told you she was pregnant with your child." James flinched, his composure slipping for a moment. "You know, I know enough." Chloe reached into her pocket and placed the newspaper clipping on the table between them. "Carol kept this. All these years." James stared at the yellowed paper, recognition dawning in his eyes. "She knew who I was. She suspected. She found me at St. Agnes Convent, a baby abandoned with just a note. A few months later, she saw this article." Chloe tapped the clipping. "The timing fit. I think she feared that if you ever discovered I existed, you might try to take me away. I would never have—" James stopped, reconsidering. "No, that's not true. The man I was then might have done exactly that. Not out of love, but out of pride and possession." He took a long swallow of his scotch. "I was a different person 26 years ago." "Were you?" Chloe challenged. "Because the man who deliberately humiliated me at the gala seems remarkably similar to the one who told Océane to get an abortion." James's knuckles whitened around his glass. "I deserve that. You deserve a lot worse." Another silence fell between them, heavier than the first. Around them, diners chatted and laughed, oblivious to the decades of pain being unraveled at table 17. "I have some questions," Chloe finally said, "and I want honest answers. Ask, did you love her at all, Océane?" James stared into his drink. "Yes, more than I was capable of admitting at the time." "Then why did you leave her?" "Because I was a coward." The admission seemed to cost him physically. "My father threatened to disinherit me if I didn't return to New York immediately to join the family business. I had a choice to make. Océane and an uncertain future, or wealth and my father's approval." His laugh was bitter. "Some choice. So you chose money. I chose what I'd been raised to value." It wasn't until years later that I realized what I'd sacrificed. James looked up, meeting Chloe's gaze directly. "I've spent decades building an empire, Mrs. Anderson. I own half the skyline of this city, and none of it, not 1 square foot, has filled the emptiness I've carried since I left Paris," despite herself. Chloe felt a twinge of sympathy. "When did you suspect who I was?" "The moment I heard you sing, your voice. It was like hearing a ghost." James shook his head in wonder. "But I wasn't certain until I began investigating. The timeline, your adoption, the resemblance, it all fit." "Is that why you paid for Carol's surgery?" "Guilt." "Partly," James admitted, but also because she raised you when I didn't. She gave you what I was too selfish to provide. A loving home, stability, values." He hesitated. "Did she? Was she a good mother?" The question caught Chloe off guard. "The best," she said softly. "She sacrificed everything for me." James nodded, genuine emotion crossing his face. "I'm glad, and I'm grateful to her." Chloe took a sip of water, trying to process the surreal reality of sitting across from her biological father, a man she'd despised just days ago. "Rebecca told me Ocean died 2 years ago, that she spent years searching for me." Pain flashed in James's eyes. "Yes, I learned that recently. She never gave up looking for you, even when her health was failing." He reached inside his jacket and withdrew an envelope. "There's something else you should know. I've been in contact with the hospital where she spent her final months. This arrived today." Inside the envelope was a death certificate and a medical report. Chloe scanned the documents, her breath catching as she read the cause of death. "Hypertrophic cardiomyopathy. Genetic. It's hereditary," James explained gently. "That's why I was so concerned about Carol's heart condition. I feared you might have inherited the same genetic predisposition." "So Carol's heart problems and Ocean's," Chloe struggled to comprehend the implications, "are unrelated as far as we know. But I've arranged for genetic testing for you, if you consent, as a precaution." The genuine concern in his voice disarmed her. This man, this titan of industry who had abandoned her mother, was worried about her health. "Why now?" Chloe asked. "After all these years? Why do you suddenly care?" James was quiet for a long moment. "Because when I heard you sing, I recognized not just Ocean's voice, but something of myself as well. The person I might have been if I'd made different choices." He met her gaze directly. "And because I'm 52 years old, alone despite my wealth, and facing the reality that the only legacy I've built is measured in square footage and stock prices." The raw honesty of his answer caught Chloe by surprise. Before she could respond, her phone buzzed with a text from Carol's night nurse. "Your mother needs you. Come to the hospital immediately." Chloe stood abruptly. "I have to go. It's Carol." "What's wrong?" James asked, concern evident in his voice. "I don't know, but I need to get to the hospital." She gathered her purse, already calculating the fastest route. "My car is outside," James said, standing as well. "Let me drive you." Chloe hesitated, torn between her instinctive distrust and practical necessity. "Fine," she finally agreed. "But this conversation isn't over." "No," James said quietly as they hurried from the Oak Room. "I'd say it's just beginning." In the sleek black car racing through Manhattan, Chloe sat rigid with worry, her mind on Carol. James kept glancing at her, clearly wanting to continue their conversation but respecting her obvious distress. As they neared the hospital, he finally broke the silence. "Whatever happens, I want you to know something." Chloe looked at him questioningly. "I've established a trust in your name," James said. "It's substantial. Enough that you'll never have to worry about money again, for yourself or for Carol's care." "I don't want your money," Chloe said automatically. "I understand, but it's there regardless. No strings attached." James hesitated. "I can't undo the past, Mrs. Anderson. I can't go back and be the father you deserved. But I can ensure your future security, if you'll allow it." Before Chloe could respond, the car pulled up to the hospital entrance. She was out the door before it fully stopped, leaving James watching her disappear into the building. His daughter, a stranger, running away from him once again. Chloe burst through the hospital entrance, her heart hammering against her ribs. The antiseptic smell and fluorescent lighting that had become so familiar over the past weeks now seemed ominous, as if the building itself was holding its breath. At the nurse's station, a young woman looked up. "Ms. Anderson, they're expecting you in room 412. The elevator seemed to crawl between floors." Chloe leaned against the wall, closing her eyes briefly. Everything was happening too fast. Discovering her biological parents, learning of Ocean's death, confronting James, and now this urgent summons to Carol's bedside. When the doors finally opened, she rushed down the corridor outside room 412. Dr. Rivera was waiting, his expression grave. "What's happened?" Chloe demanded. "Is she okay?" "She's stable," Dr. Rivera assured her. "But she's experiencing some arrhythmia, irregular heartbeats. It's not uncommon after this procedure." But given her overall condition, what are you saying, Doctor? Rivera placed a gentle hand on her shoulder. Your mother asked me to be honest with you. The procedure bought her time, but her heart is very weak. We're doing everything we can, but you should prepare yourself for the possibility that this might be a final decline. Chloe felt as if the floor was tilting beneath her. How long? It could be days. It could be weeks. I wish I could be more precise. Can I see her? Of course, she's been asking for you. Dr. Rivera hesitated. There's something else. A man named James Rockwell called the hospital about 10 minutes ago. He's apparently authorized unlimited medical resources for your mother's care and has arranged for a specialist to fly in from Cleveland tomorrow. Chloe wasn't sure how to feel about this news. Part of her resented James's intrusion. Another part was desperately grateful for any help that might extend Carol's life. Thank you for telling me, she said finally. I'd like to see my mother now. Inside the room, Carol was propped up on pillows, looking small and fragile against the white hospital linens. Her eyes brightened when she saw Chloe. There you are, she said, her voice weaker than it had been that morning. I was starting to worry. I'm here now. Chloe kissed her forehead before sitting beside the bed. What happened? The nurse said you needed me urgently. Carol gestured to the wooden chest on the bedside table. That arrived today. I needed you to see it before. She didn't finish the sentence. Chloe recognized the chest immediately. That's from my room, the one under your bed. No, Carol shook her head. This one came today, from James Rockwell. Chloe's eyes widened. James sent this this evening. The note said these belongings should be returned to their rightful owner. You. Carol reached for Chloe's hand. They're your mother's things, Chloe. Ocean's things. Chloe stared at the chest, her throat tightening. You looked inside. I had to. Carol's eyes filled with tears. I had to know what I was giving you, what truths I was finally allowing into the open. Mom, no, let me finish while I still have the strength. Carol squeezed Chloe's hand. I've kept you from your true heritage for 25 years. I told myself it was to protect you, but it was really to protect myself. From losing you, from facing what I'd done. What you did was save me, Chloe insisted. You gave me a home, a life, Carol smiled sadly. A life built on lies. And now, when I might not have much time left, I need to make it right. She gestured to the chest again. Inside is your mother's journal, her photographs, her music, all the pieces of herself she left behind, with trembling hands. Chloe lifted the lid of the chest, the scent of old paper and a faint trace of perfume. Something floral and elegant, drifted up. On top was a leather-bound journal. She never stopped looking for you, Carol said softly. Even when she was dying, that's what her journal says. Chloe traced the cover of the journal with her fingertips, almost afraid to open it. I know, Rebecca told me. Rebecca Whitman. She was friends with Oceane in Paris. Chloe hesitated, then added, I met with James tonight too. Carol's face tightened. What did he want? To explain? To apologize? Chloe shook her head, still processing the encounter. He's arranged for a specialist to see you tomorrow. I don't need his help, Carol said, a flash of her old stubbornness returning. Mom, please, if there's any chance it could help. It won't, Carol's certainty silenced Chloe. I can feel it, sweetheart. My time is running out. Don't say that, Chloe pleaded, tears filling her eyes. It's not something to fear. I've lived a good life. Carol's gaze drifted to the chest. But before I go, I need to know you'll be all right, that you'll embrace who you truly are. All of it, not just the parts I gave you. Who I truly am as your daughter, Chloe insisted. Yes, always, Carol smiled. But you're also Oceane's daughter, and, she hesitated, and James's daughter too. Chloe flinched at the words. I don't know if I can accept that part. You must, Carol said with surprising firmness. Not for his sake, but for yours. Forgiveness isn't about excusing what was done to you. It's about freeing yourself from the burden of anger. How can you say that, after what he did to Oceane to me? Because I've carried my own guilt for 25 years. Carol's eyes filled with tears. What I did, taking you from that convent instead of going through proper channels, was wrong, even if my love for you was right. If I deserve your forgiveness for that deception, then perhaps James deserves a chance to earn yours as well." Chloe was silent, absorbing her mother's words. Outside the window, the city lights glittered against the night sky, millions of lives intersecting in ways both mundane and profound. "There's something else," Carol said, her voice growing weaker. "In the chest, under the journal." Chloe lifted the journal to reveal a stack of sheet music, handwritten in elegant notation. The title page read, "Pour ma fille, for my daughter," by Océane Giraud. "She wrote this for you," Carol explained. "It's the last piece she composed, according to her journal. She never finished it." Chloe leafed through the pages with reverence, noting how the music stopped abruptly mid-phrase, as if Océane had been interrupted, or perhaps her strength had failed before she could complete her final work. "I want you to finish it," Carol said, "and then I want you to perform it. Let her voice live on through yours." "I will," Chloe promised, tears falling onto the manuscript. "I'll make her proud." "You already have," Carol whispered, "just by being who you are." A nurse appeared at the doorway. "I'm sorry, but Mrs. Anderson needs to rest now. Can't I stay a little longer?" Chloe pleaded. "It's okay, sweetheart," Carol said, her eyelids growing heavy. "Take the chest home, read her words, get to know your mother." "You're my mother," Chloe insisted, kissing Carol's forehead. "Yes," Carol smiled faintly, "and so was she. You were blessed with two women who loved you more than life itself. Remember that when things get dark." As Chloe reluctantly gathered her belongings in the wooden chest, Carol called her name one last time. "Chloe, promise me something. Anything. When I'm gone, don't let anger at James poison your life. If not forgiveness, at least find understanding. He's lost as much as you have. All those years he could have known you." Chloe couldn't bring herself to make that promise. Not yet, but she nodded, giving Carol the peace she needed. Outside the hospital, she found James's car still waiting. He sat in the back seat, working on a laptop, but set it aside when he saw her. "How is she?" he asked as Chloe slid into the seat beside him. The wooden chest clutched to her chest. "Dying," Chloe answered bluntly. "Despite your specialists and your money and your guilt." James flinched but didn't argue. "I'm sorry." "For which part?" Chloe's voice broke. "For abandoning Océane, for missing 25 years of my life, or for not being able to save the only mother I've ever known." "For all of it," James said quietly. "For everything I can't change, no matter how much I might want to." The simple honesty of his answer caught Chloe off guard. She looked down at the chest in her arms. Océane's legacy, Carol's gift, her own inheritance. "Take me home, please," she said finally. "I have a lot to read tonight." 1 year later, the Océane Giraud Conservatory of Music stood on the corner of 42nd Street and Broadway, its modern glass facade reflecting the vibrant energy of Manhattan. Inside, a state-of-the-art auditorium was filled to capacity for its grand opening celebration. Backstage, Chloe Anderson Giraud adjusted her emerald gown, the same color as the eyes she'd inherited from her biological mother. The past year had transformed her life in ways she could never have imagined. From anonymity to recognition, from poverty to privilege, from uncertainty to purpose. 5 minutes, Miss Anderson Giraud, a stagehand called through the door. "Thank you," she replied, her voice steady despite the butterflies in her stomach. On her dressing table sat 2 photographs in a double frame. One showed Carol in her younger days, laughing as she held a baby Chloe. The other captured Océane Giraud standing before the Paris Opera House, radiant with the promise of both her career and the child she carried. 2 mothers, 2 legacies, 1 daughter who carried them both forward. A soft knock interrupted her thoughts. Rebecca Whitman entered, elegant as always in a tailored black suit. "The house is packed," Rebecca reported. "Every major classical music critic in the country is out there, plus half of Broadway and the entire board of the Metropolitan Opera." "No pressure," Chloe said with a nervous laugh. Rebecca squeezed her shoulder. "You've been preparing for this your entire life, even when you didn't know it." She glanced at the clock. "I should take my seat. Break a leg." After Rebecca left, Chloe opened the small jewelry box on her dressing table. Inside was the silver locket that had belonged to Océane. She fastened it around her neck, then picked up the final item she would need tonight, the completed score of Pour ma fille. It had taken Chloe 6 months to finish the composition Ocean had started, working through grief and discovery as she channeled her mother's musical voice. The result was a piece that began in Ocean's elegant, classical style and evolved into something that reflected both her influence and Chloe's own unique voice. A true duet across time. Another knock, more hesitant this time. "Come in," she called, expecting the stagehand. Instead, James Rockwell stood in the doorway, looking somewhat uncomfortable in his tuxedo, despite his habitual confidence. A year had aged him visibly, his hair more silver than black now, new lines etched around his eyes. "I just wanted to wish you luck," he said, remaining at the threshold as if unsure of his welcome. Their relationship had evolved slowly over the past year, beginning with weekly coffee meetings that were stilted and formal, gradually becoming more relaxed as they cautiously learned about each other. James had been respectful of her boundaries, never pushing for more than she was willing to give. "Thank you," Chloe said, "for this and for everything else." "You did all the hard work," James replied. "I just provided the building." They both knew it was more than that. After Carol's death, peaceful, with Chloe holding her hand, James had channeled his fortune and influence into creating something meaningful in Ocean's memory. The conservatory would provide free musical education to talented students from underprivileged backgrounds, ensuring that no one with Chloe's gifts would ever have to struggle as she had. "Will you be sitting in the front row?" Chloe asked. James shook his head. "I'll be in the back. This is your night, not mine." The stagehand appeared behind James. 2 minutes, Ms. Anderson-Giroux." James stepped back. "I'll let you finish preparing, just know that." He hesitated, emotions flickering across his usually controlled face. "I'm proud of you, and I think they would be too. Both of them." As he turned to leave, Chloe made a split-second decision. "James," she called, using his first name for the first time. "After the performance, there's a small reception for family and close friends. I'd like you to be there." James's expression shifted, hope tempering his surprise. "I'd be honored." After he left, Chloe took a deep breath and picked up her score. It was time. The stage was dark, as Chloe took her position beside the grand piano where Paolo Moretti sat, his gnarled hands poised over the keys. As the light slowly rose, a hush fell over the audience. "Good evening," Chloe began, her voice clear and confident. "Tonight, we celebrate not just the opening of this conservatory, but the legacy of a remarkable woman whose voice was silenced too soon." She scanned the audience, noting familiar faces. Rebecca in the third row, several of her former employers who had supported her journey, even Klein from the catering company, beaming with vicarious pride. In the back row, partially shadowed, sat James. "Ocean Giroux was my mother, though I never had the chance to know her," Chloe continued. "Her gift lives on not only through me, but through every student who will walk through these doors seeking to find their voice." Paolo began to play the introduction, the notes rippling like water. "This piece, Pour ma fille, was begun by my mother in the final months of her life, and completed by me this year. It is a conversation between us, across time, across loss, across love." Chloe closed her eyes, and when she began to sing, it was as if Ocean sang with her. The melody flowed from delicate and wistful to powerful and triumphant, telling without words the story of love lost and found again, of a mother's undying devotion, of a daughter's journey to wholeness. As the final notes faded, there was a moment of profound silence before the audience erupted in applause. People rose to their feet, some openly weeping. Paolo's eyes shone with tears as he embraced Chloe. "She lives in you," he whispered. "Both of them do." The reception afterward was a blur of congratulations and press interviews. Chloe moved through it with grace, but her eyes kept straying to the corner where James stood, speaking quietly with Rebecca. Finally, as the crowd thinned, she made her way to them. "You were magnificent," Rebecca said, embracing her. Ocean would have been speechless. "Thank you for everything," Chloe replied. "I wouldn't be here without you." "Yes, you would," Rebecca countered. "Your path might have been different, but talent like yours always finds its way to the light." She glanced between Chloe and James. "I should check on the caterers, excuse me." When they were alone, James seemed unsure what to say, unusual for a man renowned for his decisive speech. "The conservatory is beautiful," Chloe offered. "Carol would have loved it too." "I hope so," James said. "I never got the chance to thank her properly. For raising me, for giving you what I couldn't. Stability, unconditional love, moral guidance." James gazed around the reception hall. "All of this, the building, the endowment, it's nothing compared to what she gave you." Chloe nodded, unexpectedly moved by his acknowledgement of Carol's importance. "She told me something before she died. She said forgiveness isn't about excusing what was done to you. It's about freeing yourself from the burden of anger." "Wise woman," James said softly. "It's taken me a year to understand what she meant." Chloe met his gaze directly. "I'm not there yet. Not fully. But I'm working on it. That's more than I deserve." "Probably," Chloe agreed with a small smile. "But it's what both my mothers would want, and I've learned that mothers usually know best." A young girl, no more than 12, approached them shyly, clutching a program. "Excuse me, Mrs. Anderson-Gerard. Could I have your autograph? I'm starting classes here next month." "Of course," Chloe said warmly, taking the program. "What's your name?" "Maria. I'm from the Bronx." The girl twisted her hands nervously. "I've never had real singing lessons before. My mom works 3 jobs and now you're here," Chloe finished for her, signing the program with a flourish. "That's what this place is for, to make sure voices like yours are heard." As the girl scampered away, clutching the autograph to her chest, Chloe and James watched her go. "She reminds me of you," James observed. "That same fire in her eyes. Let's hope her path is a little easier than mine was," Chloe replied. They stood in companionable silence, watching the reception continue around them, the beginning of a new chapter in both their lives. Outside, the Manhattan skyline glittered against the night sky, indifferent to the small human dramas unfolding within its buildings. But in one corner of that vast city, 3 women's legacies had converged: Carol's selfless love, Ocean's artistic brilliance, and Chloe's resilient spirit, creating something that would endure long after they were gone. A voice that would heal the world, one note at a time.